What's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at the Alcatel A30. I kept calling it the 830, but it is the Alcatel A30.
Yes, we took about 7 takes, but now he has correctly said the name. It is the A30. And what's so special about it?
It is a $60 Android phone.
And it has Android Nougat.
Android Nougat. Let's take a look at the review.
All right, guys. So when you first pick up the phone, what were your first impressions?
I would say it feels pretty good. And again, this is just a preliminary review. The full review will be coming out in about a week. But as for now, I'd say for $60, it really does feel good. It is plastic. I'm going to take this off just so that everybody can kind of see what's going on in the front of the phone. I like that from the front. It almost kind of looks like a Nexus style device or something that's really minimalistic, and it has these very neat looking, kind of industrial looking speakers grills. Not to mislead you though, these are front firing, but they're not stereo. So only one speaker actually produces sound, but that one right there. I think they changed the colors on purpose. You see that? So you can tell the difference, but I like that. On the back, I like this little pattern here too. Kind of like a carbon fiber look almost.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's not like super slippery either, which is nice. I wouldn't say it's grippy, but it's not slippery either. So you kind of have to hold the phone for yourself to really fully understand what that feels like. But yeah. It's cool looking. It doesn't look as cheap, I think, as some other phones do.
Yeah. To give you guys an idea, I mean, the buttons have a nice little metallic look as well. Just to give you an idea of what material you're dealing with, this kind of reminds me of like the old Samsung phones. It's got that really, really thin plastic back that you have to pop on and off. I did actually discover, after having this for about 10 minutes, that although the back comes off, battery is not removable.
Yes, so the battery is not removable. So that might bum some people out. Others won't care. So it's up to you. You guys have to, take that in consideration. First thing though, when I first took it out of this very, very lovely box, I mean, look at this. This is a quality box right here.
Well, the first thing you did is void everything, obviously.
Yes, I did immediately. First thing I felt with it was it has some weight to it. It didn't feel like a piece of paper, which I was extremely happy with actually. Like it actually feels like, maybe not metal, but it actually has some heft to it, which I liked. So it made it feel a little bit more premium. Yeah, which I appreciated.
Things have kind of gone in an opposite direction. I mean, if you bought a $60 phone 2 years ago, I don't know if the average human being could live with it at all. And this is showing that technology has just become so much more affordable that they can actually make a phone that's usable. I mean, if you ask me personally, I think this will be great for the average person, just from my first impressions of it. And it might even be good for somebody who's a smartphone enthusiast and maybe they broke their phone, they don't have insurance, so they're waiting to buy another one and need something to kind of hold them over in the meantime. It's not bad. I mean, what about the display? What have you heard about the display?
Yeah, so let's go on to the display. So we'll turn that on right now. As you can see, first and foremost on the lock screen, you are going to get Amazon ads on the display. So that is going to happen. When we take a look at the screen, not the brightest screen. That was my first impression. When I first turned it on, I was kind of confused. I was like, why is the screen so dim?
Right.
I realized though that if you have the auto brightness on, it really dims it like unbelievably in most lighting conditions. I think too much. So it's a very aggressive auto setting on this. So I personally don't even know if I would use it because it really dims it.
Yeah. And again, I know a lot of people put their brightness up on these kinds of on a phone because they want it to look really brilliant, because they care about that kind of thing. If you're spending $60 on the phone, I don't know if you're going to be the type of person who needs maximum brightness at all times to show off your display.
That is true. I think Alcatel will disagree with you though, as this is a vibrant
display.
HD display. So that takes us to, what is resolution? 720p. Is 720p good enough for a $60 phone? I would say yes. I would say 720p is good enough. Viewing angles? Not terrible. Really not that bad.
You're not going to be able to see it very clearly in the video, unfortunately, because every time we turn the phone, I think it's basically appearing as black.
Right, but that's not how it's coming. Yeah, it's not how it's coming across to us. It's not horrible. There's obviously some color shift, and but it's not the worst I've seen. I think for $60, this display is not bad. Colors, while this says vibrant, I'd say a little bit washed out, but again, it's not the worst display I've ever seen.
They really have a thing for language here. Vibrant display, enhanced selfies, sharp photos, loud and clear sound, ample storage. Very good.
I mean,
Very
yeah,
good language.
Presenting it well. Yeah, so for a 5-inch 720p, I think the pixel density is good enough that you're really, I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to spot too many pixels. No, it looks pretty good.
I agree. And I think any initial phone review is not going to be complete unless we at least take a look at the camera. Let me just clean off this lens and make sure we get the best possible image. I mean, if you guys can kind of recognize from what we're looking at here, you're not getting like a yellowed out or not very clear image. There's no issues that I'm really seeing with the white balance. Obviously, the exposure is
that's what I'd say is the biggest issue. The exposure. We'll put up some test shots for you guys to look at. I took some samples. Again, this is just an initial look. That is the one area I saw problems with. If there is a white background, if there is, the sky, the sun's out, it really does blow out a lot of the shots. But as I was messing with it, I was able to get some decent shots, and you'll be able to see that. I tried the HDR mode, which I feel like honestly made it worse. It blew it out kind of more. So I feel like the HDR is more of a just upping the brightness
I think
too much.
I think we're getting an example of it here. I mean, focusing on a black screen.
This white is just...
but obviously, we're looking at a white table. I do appreciate that they gave us the ability. You can tap to focus on an object, and then you can drag your exposure down or up accordingly, so you can get your
you
focus.
have some settings. It's not going to have the full manual settings.
Something I didn't expect to see: time lapse.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Time lapse.
Actually, some phones I've reviewed that are more expensive don't have a time lapse feature. And the last thing I'll take a look at, if we slide over, it has this sliding thing that I think a lot of phones are doing nowadays.
It's basically iPhone.
Yeah, basically they're copying it. But the video is only, unfortunately, 720p. So it's 720p or 480p.
Well, they give you 480. Good option.
Yeah, that's true. If you're trying to send something. And full camera resolution is going to be 8 megapixels at the 4:3 aspect ratio. I don't personally love that. I like 16:9, but I would have to bump down to 5 megapixels if I wanted to do that. So that's a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I didn't notice that actually.
Good catch there. You want the full, wide angle picture. You're gonna have to bump down the resolution. So we'll put up some of those samples though. We'll take a look at some of the pictures, and I did take a video. I did, you can hear the quality of the audio also.
Like we said, we're going to be going in depth, so you'll be able to see low light samples. You'll be able to see high overexposed samples where most cameras struggle. We'll play around with it. We'll give you some video samples too. I think the last thing we should talk about is the battery.
Battery and processor. Let's get into both of those. I've only had the phone for a day, so I'm not going to say how good the battery is right now. Let me use it for a week. I'm going to use this as my daily driver, and in the in-depth review, I'll talk more about how the battery is. So then you'll get to see. I'd say as far as the processor is concerned though, Snapdragon 210. 210. I actually have never used a phone with a Snapdragon 210.
Interesting.
So
quad core, 2 gigabytes
quad
of RAM.
core, 2 gigs. I thought the 2 gigs RAM was pretty good. They could have easily put 1 gig on a $60 phone, but they actually allowed
They didn't
you
brag about it
to
though.
have 2. I know, right? If you go on Amazon though, they do talk about the 2 gigs. But yeah.
Storage, by the way.
There you go, 2 gigs of RAM.
What's the storage capacity in this phone, by the way, while we're at it?
16 gigabytes, but it has an SD card slot. So I think that's pretty awesome that they gave you that too.
2460 milliamp hour battery. Of course, guys, at this point, we're not going to be able to talk too much about how the battery's performing because we've been using it, I'd say, for about a few hours now. So until we've had a better experience with it, we'll be able to tell you what it's like as we both use this as our daily driver. Yeah,
so battery and processor performance, I'll wait for the in-depth review. I will say, as this is an initial review though, day-to-day use seems fine. For Snapdragon 210, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think you're going to notice too much. We'll see though in the long run if things start bogging down as I'm using it as my daily. But like I said, initially, I'd say even animations aren't too bad. Only thing I noticed, if you go into the gallery, kind of lags for some reason. So,
Yeah.
But again, it's a $60 phone.
It's almost like you're pulling it from a cloud of some sort and it's loading it.
Once it's loaded, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you close it though, it does take a second.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you're ever in a situation, life or death, you need a picture within 1 second.
I would keep it.
Not the phone for you.
Keep it open.
But guys, we're going to do a much more in-depth review in about a week after we've had a chance to use a little bit more. If you like the style of these videos or have any suggestions of phones that you'd like to see reviewed, really put them in the comments. We're taking a look at budget phones that are affordable to the average consumer. And
guys, if there's anything you'd like to see match up against this in a review, let us know. Because we have a bunch of other phones, but we can also get more and do that head-to-head matchup if you'd like to see it. So let us know in the comments which phones you'd like to see against each other.
Tune in next week, guys. We'll be back with the review.